Hello and welcome to the fourth race of the DTM season 2014. We're here at the Norisring, the German Monaco as they call it. However, today, the race day, it is really rainy as you can tell. But yesterday was a sunny day, so one thing's for sure, this race weekend was exciting. Here are the highlights. Enjoy.
We plan to thank you, Verena, and an aerial shot of the Norisring and many fans ready to enjoy the DTM weekend. This is Marco Wittmann's hometown. The local hero is the shooting star of the season so far. Meanwhile, Bruno Spengler has an excellent record in Nuremberg with 3 victories and 3 pole positions. Mercedes have dominated the race at the street circuit though for the last decade. Gary Paffett won here in 2004 and 2005. Robert Wickens came second here last year after the race that finished in a scandal. Who will ever forget the water bottle in the pit lane affair, which involved this man, Matthias Ekström? The Norisring is the only street circuit on the DTM schedule. It has the shortest lap distance, and what an opportunity we get right now as we ride with Mr. Norisring, Jamie Green, on a lap of the track.
Hello, I'm Jamie Green, and now we're going to take a look at the Norisring.
And though I try to hide, my smile gets wider every day.
So here we go, starting the lap, shifting up to 6th gear, heading towards turn 1, really high speed, braking hard, down to 1st gear, very tight corner. And try not to get too close to the concrete wall on the exit. I found out that it's not too forgiving last year. And then 2nd gear chicane, try to be close to the wall. It's off camber on the exit, so you always have some oversteer coming out of the chicane. Now heading up to the last corner, it's very bumpy and you go over the crest, so the car's always unstable on the brakes. 1st gear again, and then heading out through the final kink, and the lap goes pretty quick in Norisring, so that's 1 lap done.
It was all about Mercedes-Benz, this short Norisring street circuit really playing into what strengths Mercedes-Benz have, and Robert Wickens gets pole.
We know where we're weak on other circuits, and luckily this track doesn't involve any of those. So it's definitely we have to make the most of our opportunity tomorrow and try to bring as many points home as possible.
Well, with the Mercedes lockout on the front row, completed by Paul di Resta with a stellar qualifying performance, undoubtedly his best of the season so far. Paul di Resta claims P2 on the grid then, and he's one very happy man.
Credit to the guys because it's a completely different philosophy here, and they changed the car. It's worked, and yeah, quicker than last year, so focused ahead of trying to make the car faster for other tracks, and when we do that, I think we can be satisfied that we're going forward.
Well, a change of team within Audi for Jamie Green this year, and his liking of this Norisring circuit and the setup that the team provided for his Audi meant that he could get oh so close to the wall, but also right up the front of the grid, as well as he nails a time that gives him P3 on the grid. Surely satisfied with that, Jamie?
Well, it's close to the front and gives us a good chance for the race, so it's a good place to start, and you know, you can win from there, so from that point of view I'm really happy.
So qualifying then was all about this man, Robert Wickens, who posted time that gives him pole position, and a great performance too from Paul di Resta. As for the home driver, Marco Wittmann, the very best that he could find from his BMW was going to place him at P11 on the grid. Disappointing time too for Bruno Spengler, P16 on the grid. And the champion, Mike Rockenfeller, well, the best that he could propel his Audi to was going to give him P12 on the grid. So, little bit of disappointment for Mike Rockenfeller, and let's hear what he's got to say about his qualifying performance.
I'm not happy right now, but we have to look forward and look ahead and try our best tomorrow.
Mike Rockenfeller. Well, it was all about Mercedes-Benz for these fans then as they took 3 of the top 4 positions. As you can see, Pascal Wehrlein down there, P4 on the grid with a 48.008. Now, he was impeded during qualifying by Matthias Ekstrom, and Matthias Ekstrom is under investigation for that. There is Matthias Ekstrom. Certainly compromised Pascal Wehrlein's lap time, and confirmation there, as you can see on screen, that Matthias Ekstrom is under investigation. So the rest of the qualifying chart then. And Vitaly Petrov, as you can see, will be starting from plumb last in P23. There is Vitaly, of course, from the street circuit here at Norisring. We head next to the Moscow Raceway on the DTM calendar. And he'll be hoping for better luck in front of his home fans. And talking of fans, they're putting their wet weather gear on now, as you can see, as the rain begins to fall. As we look there at the 1, 2, 3 from qualifying, and all weekend the talk has been about the weather and what sort of an effect that the weather can have on the race at Norisring.
Marco Wittmann, fantastic that you're taking the time for the little interview. You live around here, just 10 minutes away from here. If somebody would have asked you just before the season started that perhaps at this point you would already be leading the pack, would you have believed them?
No, for sure not. I mean, for me it's nearly a dream to come to my home race with a championship lead and with 2 victories already. I never expected this before the season. My target was to score a win at least in the season, but now to come with 2 wins to the home race, it's just unbelievable.
The season really is working out well for you, 2 victories already. But does that also mean pressure for you, or are you pretty cool?
No, at the end it's not really pressure for me, because I would say I do on my own or myself the most pressure. So from outside I feel nothing. I just go race by race, so I'm pretty relaxed.
And Norisring is a very short track, it's a high speed course, and also you have a lot of chances of overtaking. But what are you expecting for the race? What's the most crucial, and does DRS perhaps also play a vital role?
Definitely it's quite important, DRS in the race today, especially with a chance to overtake after the long straight. There will be a lot of action, I think, on track. And yeah, even if it's raining and if we have a wet race and we are not allowed to use DRS, I think there will be a lot of action on track.
Right, well, best of luck for the race. Thank you very much.
Everyone's been talking about it right across the weekend, and that is what an effect the weather might have on the race. And well, the stewards have declared a wet race because just as the cars were preparing to leave the pit lane to head to the grid, well, it absolutely poured down. Torrential rain. Now, the intensity of that rain has eased off just a little bit now, but the prediction is for it to keep going for a few minutes yet. Then it will gradually die out. All the fans, of course, having to take all the protection they can against the rain. And, well, the drivers, too, are going to have to cope with a track which is utterly saturated in places. Lots and lots of standing water around. So, as expected, the weather playing a part in this Norisring race for the DTM. And let's see how the drivers are going to be able to cope with it, but it's certainly changed the face of this race at the start. The start, of course, that Robert Wickens got pole position for. Now, Timo Scheider, he didn't have such a good time in qualifying, to be fair. P21 for the 2-time champion. A dismal starting position for him. As you can see, the rain seems to have abated a little bit now. Still a lot of standing water there on the circuit, as you can see. P19 for Martin Tomczyk then, as his final preparations are made before he gets into the BMW. And there we can get an even better shot of the rain not coming down anything like it was. Another former champion struggled in qualifying, Bruno Spengler. He's going to start from P16. And it was a disappointing P13 for Timo Glock. Here's acclimatization to the DTM series continuing. And an Audi duo of ex-champions, Matthias Ekström and Mike Rockenfeller, will start from 12th and 11th place. Matthias Ekström, having been dropped 5 places on the starting grid, the stewards of the meeting came to the conclusion that the 35-year-old who was on his in-lap had definitely impeded Pascal Wehrlein, who was on a flying lap. So instead of 7th place, the Swede now has to start the 4th DTM round at Norisring from 12th place on the grid. P11 then for the reigning champion Mike Rockenfeller, and Verena Wright catches up with our pole sitter Robert Wickens.
So Robert starting, of course, in the perfect position, in pole position. Now, yesterday was a fantastic qualifying for you, but completely different weather conditions. However, we just heard that the start is actually after the safety car. So is that for you a pretty good feeling?
I think it's the best situation. I mean, you know, on the formation laps and the laps to the grid, it was very, very bad. So, you know, it's definitely, you know, DMSB did the right call starting it under safety car, and because, yeah, there's a lot of standing water on the track at the moment, and I think for the safety, it's the best thing.
You seem very calm and very confident.
I'm a Canadian, so generally, yeah, pretty relaxed. But, yeah, you know, excited for the race, and hopefully I can keep it in first.
Well, best of luck, Robert. We love Canadians.
He's always a really cheerful individual, is Robert Wickens. Had a conversation with him earlier. Okay, one driver that is benefiting from the Matthias Ekström penalty is the Samsung BMW driver Maxime Martin, who gets into the top 10 and will start the race from P10, and we'll see what he is able to do from P10 in this race here at the Norisring. An Alpine native is going to be starting from P9 on the grid, the young Swiss ace Nico Muller. Another one advantaged by the Matthias Ekström penalty. He's now comfortably in the top half of the grid, and is he going to be able to convert that into a fine finish? His best performance so far has been a P12, which was taken at the Budapest circuit. Best result for Adrien Tombe thus far in the DTM season 2014 has been a P3 of the opening round at Hockenheim for this man, Adrien Tombe, who starts from P8. It's his 3rd DTM season, and I think it's fair to say that the Frenchman always looks likely to make the top 10. So from P8, Adrien Tombe, wonder what he can deliver from there. Great to be able to bring you the shots of the drivers in preparation, and here is the local hero, Marco Wittmann. Home advantage, of course, is one thing, but the BMW certainly not matching the pace of Mercedes today. 7th place on the grid for Marco Wittmann, only rates as okay. Wittmann, of course, has won twice this season, with his victories coming at Hockenheim and also in Budapest as well. So Marco Wittmann, the local man then. And a man that isn't local, Christian Vittoris. Well, he's taken a win, of course, this season as well. Christian Vittoris taken an unexpected win, I think it's fair to say, but that was another weather-affected race at Oschersleben. So what can Christian Vittoris do from here? Wouldn't bet against him, would you? Gary Paffett. Well, he's got 2 previous wins here. The 2005 champion benefits from vast experience these days. Starts from P5, topped and tailed by fellow Mercedes-Benz drivers. And the youngest of them, P4, Pascal Wehrlein. Who knows what he could have delivered in qualifying. His quick lap compromised by Matthias Ekström, and Ekström suffering a grid place penalty because of that. Wonder what Pascal Wehrlein can deliver from here. All about Mercedes-Benz then, and Verena Wright catches up with Toto Wolff, who has a special guest as well.
I'm here with Felipe Massa and with Toto Wolff. And Toto, first of all, yesterday we saw perfect qualifying, the return of the Mercedes star. However, for the race today, the weather conditions are completely different. Would you have preferred perhaps different conditions, a little bit more dry, so perhaps we're not going to see such an exciting race?
Yeah, of course. We have been qualifying very well yesterday in the dry, so we would have preferred dry weather. But I think for DTM it's very exciting to race in Norisring under these conditions. Very difficult for everybody. I think we should still have a little bit of an advantage starting in the front row, starting in the front, but then you never know. Maybe the others had a full wet setup, so it's exciting race.
Looking forward to that. Thank you. And Felipe, it's wonderful to have you here at the DTM. You had a little ride here on the track today, but with Susie, with his wife. So don't say anything wrong. How was your experience?
It was great. Susie was teaching me how to drive a DTM car in the very difficult condition, very slippery. The first lap was a little bit difficult because I don't know the track, so I didn't know where to brake and not to brake. So we had some sliding, around, but it was fantastic. It was a good feeling, and it's great to be here. So it's an incredible atmosphere. I hope we can see a very nice race as well.
I'm pretty sure we will, and I hope we'll see you here more often at the DTM. Thank you very much. Enjoy the race.
Let's take a look at the top three on the grid then, and Jamie, Mr. Norisring Green. Well, already a four-time winner here in Nuremberg. The Brit starts from a very promising third place on the grid and is the only non-Mercedes in sight. The front row then a lockout for Mercedes. 2010 champion Paul di Resta is back from a 3-year stint in Formula One, but is still in the process of re-acclimatising. P2 on the grid bodes well for the speedy Scot, a fabulous performance from him in qualifying. So far this season, P11 is the best result for the pole sitter, Robert Wickens, the Canadian. That P11 came at the last race at Budapest. What can he do from here? Well, he's put himself in the best possible position, hasn't he? Is it time for the big breakthrough for Robert Wickens? He's been steadily improving over the last couple of seasons. Can he convert this pole position as he waves into the win? Into the Audi garage we go, and there is the head of DTM, Mr. Dieter Gass, welcoming guests into the garage there. Very important race this for Audi because their base at Ingolstadt is around about 30 minutes just down the road, so this effectively becomes a home race for Audi, and some explanation going on there. And of course their best hopes lying with Jamie Green. Jens Marquardt in the BMW garage, and two very stern-looking heads of motorsport and head of Mercedes-Benz. There's Toto Wolff and Dieter Zetscher. And rolling start behind the safety car. And you can see just how much spray is being thrown up from this saturated track here at the Norisring. It has actually stopped raining now, but there is so much surface water around. Very, very difficult for these drivers on the opening laps. It's the amount of spray that's chucked up from the car as Susie Wolff looks on. Of course, Susie Wolff and Felipe Massa were out in a car earlier. There is the grid in full then. Wickens, di Resta, Green, Wehrlein, Paffett, Vittorius, Wittmann, Tombe, Muller. Then it's Maxime Martin, Mike Rockenfeller, Matthias Ekstrom, who got that grid place drop because of impeding Pascal Wehrlein. Then we see Glock, Hand, Farfus, Spengler, Juncadella, Molina, Tomczyk, Mortara, Scheider, Felix da Costa, and right at the rear is Vitaly Petrov, who goes for a spin now. So that just proving how treacherous the conditions are out there. A pirouette from Vitaly Petrov as the teams look on. Safety car coming in this lap then. They try to bring these wet weather tyres up to temperature. Going to be a very, very interesting race here. So with the safety car coming in this lap, through the Scholleresses they go. Lights out on the safety car. We're about to get racing underway here at the Norisring. All the cars weaving from side to side, desperate to try and get some temperature into those wet weather tyres. So hard on tyres and brakes here at the Norisring. Paul di Resta taking a wide line there, and there's contact between Jamie Green and Paul di Resta. So Paul di Resta rejoins, but a lot further back, and Jamie Green then, before they cross the start-finish line, well, on track is effectively up to P2. Gary Paffett making a great move along the inside as well, and just look at the spray that is being thrown up here at the Norisring. Marco Wittmann also trying a long drive around the outside there. Jamie Green goes very wide. The back end steps out of the car. They get oh so close to the wall around the Grundig hairpin. We're on board with Marco Wittmann. There is Jamie Green, then it's Gary Paffett, and then Pascal Wehrlein. Paffett making a brilliant start. Bruno Spengler gets past Augusto Farfus. And here is Adrian Tombe through the Merkenmeyer, then battling with Marco Wittmann. Oh, and a lock up there from Augusto Farfus, or was there contact between Spengler and Farfus? We go on board with Bruno Spengler now. Look how close they get to the wall. Augusto Farfus ahead of him. And close in there as well as Martin Tomczyk. Danny Juncadella has gone round. So what happened to Danny Juncadella? Well, let's find out in replay here. There is Juncadella diving up the inside. There's going to be contact with Miguel Molina, and that is what sent Danny Juncadella round and sprays carbon fibre across the track as well. So Juncadella manages to get the car going in the right direction once again. That in replay then, and also in replay here. Well, that's an ambitious move from Joey Hand, which has spun Nico Muller right around. There you can see the Crown Plaza BMW getting into contact there with Nico Muller, and that sends the number 22 car around. We're on board with Adrian Tombe right now, and the spray that's still being chucked up from the cars ahead really makes visibility extremely difficult around this tight 2.3 kilometre circuit here at the Norisring. Diving up the inside of Marco Wittmann there goes Adrian Tombe. We go on board with Marco Wittmann, and he's also losing out to Maxime Martin. There is Tombe, past Martin, past Wittmann. And there you can see Tombe just dived up the inside. There was contact, but it was almost inevitable. Contact is almost inevitable in this rain-affected race here at the Norisring. It is DTM, and we see the Paul di Resta car in for a pit stop. Paul di Resta's race has been, well, very compromised, hasn't it, by the early contact between him and Jamie Green. Ironically, the two are good friends. A little bit of contact there as under braking, Matthias Ekström just runs into the back of Timo Glock. That nearly opens the door for Joey Hand, but it's not quite enough. So Timo Glock and Matthias Ekström stay as they were. Gary Paffett and Pascal Wehrlein in P3 and P4, as you can see, two Mercedes-Benz drivers there. The Nico Muller car is a back marking car. And a pit stop penalty of 5 seconds for car number 21, Jamie Green. Well, that for the contact early on in the race with Paul di Resta. So this is Pascal Wehrlein as Gary Paffett takes an extremely wide line around the hairpin, and Pascal Wehrlein, well, he's able to take advantage of that. Now we can see why. Gary Paffett in for a change of tyres. More wet weather tyres going on to the Euronics Mercedes of Gary Paffett then, and he makes his way down the short pit lane here. All temporary structures on the right-hand side there. They have to build this pit lane from zero here for the one weekend a year that the Norisring circuit is used, and that is for this DTM Speed Weekend. So Gary Paffett going down a whole bunch of places there in the Euronics Mercedes. Just in the background, you can see Vitaly Petrov, who's effectively a back marking car, run wide once again. And because it's such a short lap here, you can see that the race leader, Robert Wickens, is already passing back marking cars. So there is Robert Wickens. And here comes Jamie Green in P2. Jamie Green, though, is going to have to take a 5-second pit stop penalty. P12, P13 and P14 being battled over now. This is Timo Glock in the Deutsche Post BMW with Timo Scheider right behind, and champion Mike Rockenfeller in the mix as well. So BMW heading off to Audis at the moment. Just beginning to see a bit of a line develop here. Not even halfway through the race yet. Timo Scheider takes a look along the outside, but nothing like close enough to be able to do anything about Timo Glock ahead of him. Around the hairpin they go. Mike Rockenfeller just passes that to strewn carbon fibre for one of the earlier instance of contact and a brilliant heli shot that we're able to bring you here around this Norisring circuit, around the Scholleresses they go. It's Glock, Scheider and Rockenfeller there. And they're well keeping off the paved area, which is on the right-hand side of the circuit. You can see there it just finishes. Oh, so slippery out as the surface changes from tarmac to concrete at that particular section of the circuit. Having a good battle here is Christian Vittoris and Pascal Wehrlein. Two Mercedes cars together here. And Vittoris looking oh so racy and setting the fastest lap look, a 54.797. From Christian Vittoris, that's set on lap 36 of the race. So Christian Vittoris is clearly very, very quick. And now is able to use that speed to go past Pascal Wehrlein and take up P3. Timo Glock has gone round now and seems to be stuck there. And he was all on his own. It was a complete pirouette with no assistance from anyone. Timo Glock just carrying too much speed into that hairpin, and both Timo Scheider and Mike Rockenfeller did very, very well to avoid colliding with the stricken BMW. So Glock manages to get it facing in the right direction once again and restarts. This is Edo Mortara on Bruno Spengler. Whoa, they get so close there. Edo Mortara through the Scholleresses then with Bruno Spengler, and Spengler comes in and is the first of the drivers to take a real gamble here and go onto slick tyres. The wets come off and the slicks are on. Well, this is going to be so very interesting. Spengler got nothing to lose, may as well go for that gamble, and he's put slick tyres on. Now that car is going to be oh so twitchy to begin with. But is that going to be a great call by Bruno Spengler? He's certainly the first of the drivers to be brave enough. He's got Augusto Farfus and Martin Tomczyk right behind him. All the other drivers out there on wet weather rubber, with the exception of Bruno Spengler. You can see that line there really beginning to dry out now, and Bruno Spengler clearly feels that there is enough grip now to switch to slick tyres. And there you can see still lots and lots of water being sprayed off the bodywork of his BMW. Christian Vittoris and Timo Glock. And Vittoris still on a charge. Spengler is down there P16 on the slick tyres. Just wonder if anyone else is going to make the bold move now. There is Jamie Green in P2. Bear in mind, he's still got a 5-second pit stop penalty to serve. And Christian Vittoris, you can see over the last 3 laps with the difference between Jamie Green and Christian Vittoris. Green stays out. Maintains his use of the wet weather tyres at the moment, but Mike Rockenfeller has come in and Mike too is going on to the slick tyres. Huge amount of wheel spin as he careers away, and just the back end steps out a little bit. Mike Rockenfeller got it all completely under control though as he leaves the pit lane now. There is the champion now on slick tyres. Tomczyk right behind him, and there is Paul de Resta. Well, that's 2 drivers that have taken the gamble to go onto the non-treaded rubber. And all of a sudden there's a queue in the pit lane as everyone else follows the lead of Spengler and Mike Rockenfeller. There's Augusto Farfus in the Castrol Edge colours, the green BMW. There goes Marco Wittmann. There's Timo Scheider. All the drivers going with this option tyre now. Danny Juncatella. And here comes Jamie Green to serve the 5-second penalty that he's got before he can undertake his pit stop. Get very close to the back end of Timo Glock there, so Jamie Green dives in now. And this is going to be absolutely crucial for position where Jamie Green comes out. Quick stop, 3.7. Well, better has been done. Green is back out again on the slick rubber. He's served that penalty. The car skating sideways, and Green manages to retain the P2 position. Joey Handout now on slicks as well. There is Pascal Wehrlein in the Guix Mercedes-Benz. And in comes Christian Vittorius right now. And car number 17 under investigation. That's Timo Glock for an unsafe release. Vitaly Petrov is in as well. Christian Vittorius, let's see what sort of a time we can do for Vittorius. 3.2 seconds. Struggled just briefly to get away there. Comes out in front of Matthias Ekström. So here comes Christian Vittorius. There is Jamie Green. And Timo Glock gets a drive-through penalty. There is Jamie Green. So Rob Wickens still leads from Edo Mortara P2. Vittorius crucially P3, Jamie Green P4. But do bear in mind that neither Wickens nor Mortara have been in yet for a pit stop. So Jamie Green again having to nurse the Audi now just a little bit as he gets those slick tyres now up to temperature. We're on lap 56 of 83 here at the Norisring, the street circuit for the DTM. The fourth round of the DTM series for 2014. In comes the Audi then. And a set of slicks going on to the Edo Mortara car. So when will Robert Wickens pit? It's Adrian Tombe, and where's Mortara going to come out? Here comes Timo Glock then to serve his drive-through penalty. And that was the reason, that was the unsafe release. We didn't see it. Clunked into the side of Martin Tomczyk, an unsafe release from Timo Glock, and they were a long while getting that car back just a little bit so Timo Glock could get going again. So that was the reason for the drive-through penalty. Certainly an unsafe release from the Timo Glock garage. So there is Timo Glock having served it. Mortara is now P8 behind Adrian Tombe. And here now comes the race leader. Onto slick tyres for Robert Wickens. He gives it a foot full of revs and leaves the pit lane now with the yellow banded tyres on. Oh, and there's Tomczyk turning Gary Paffett around. The Euronics driver could do absolutely nothing there. Gets launched by Martin Tomczyk. So Paffett around then, and that causes the retirement of Martin Tomczyk. The BMW back in the garage. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Martin, what exactly happened? You had a little tete-a-tete with Paffett, span him around, but then the race ended for you. Why?
Yeah, I had to retire, unfortunately. First of all, it was my mistake. I had locking front tires. I couldn't avoid a crash. Unfortunately, it was again Gary. I mean, we had already some parties together. It's a shame. I mean, I destroyed as well his race. But the conditions were really tricky out there. I just came out with option tires on the damp circuit, and I missed slightly the braking. I couldn't avoid the crash because on the right side was Felix da Costa, so I couldn't move, and I just saw Gary's bumper, and when I saw it, I thought, oh no, not again Gary. No, it's a shame. Big apologize from my side. Yeah, it was stupid.
Well, Martin Tomczyk holds his hands up and says that was a huge mistake on his part as Edo Mortara sets the fastest lap now of 49.467 for Eduardo Mortara. Bit of a nerf there from Mike Rockefeller on Joey Hand. Almost a chain reaction as Marco Wittmann very nearly into the back of Mike Rockefeller as well, and Timo Scheider is right behind. And there we can see in replay the contact once again, and some of the end plate being destroyed on the Mike Rockefeller Audi. The Playboy liveried car of Adrian Tombe now we watch, as they all take a wide line around that hairpin here. Various blue flags being issued to backmarking cars to allow faster drivers to get through. Tombe is carrying some speed into the hairpin now, and there's a collision. He takes Pascal Wehrlein around. Let's see it from on board Pascal Wehrlein's car. Wehrlein was always going to get turned around there. After the race, Tombe is penalised and docked places in the final classification. And that's a retirement for Christian Vittoris. So Christian Vittoris is out of the race. Bitter disappointment for Christian, who was P2. And let's see in replay then what caused that mechanical problem. Watch now, wheel nut bounces into the concrete. That means that rear wheel is loose. Absolutely nothing to do but retire that car. Christian Vittoris must be feeling devastated.
I think we lost the rear tire, and it wasn't proper fixed at the pit stop. So that's why we had no drive at the end.
So this man is leading the way. Robert Wickens leading with the clock ticking down now. You can see we've changed from laps to the time at the top of your screen. Robert Wickens, who has been faultless throughout this race, did what he needed to do in qualifying to put himself right at the head of the pack. Under 2 minutes remain for Robert Wickens. Lots of backmarking traffic, but he's got such an advantage over Jamie Green. Look, 23 seconds cushion he has. There is Jamie Green in P2. Apart from the skirmish right at the very start, has also driven a fault-free race. And Matthias Ekstrom is the man that is closing in on Jamie Green, but I think it might be all just a bit too late for Matthias Ekstrom. And there we can see him behind the backmarking Augusto Farfus car. Farfus, of course, is on his own race and his own strategy and isn't going to lend Ekstrom any opportunity to get past. He's down in P14. Matthias Ekstrom is P3, but they're in their own races. P5 and P6 between Adrian Tombe and Pascal Wehrlein, as we're into the final seconds of this race. One more lap to be done as they cross the line here. And can Wehrlein get past Adrian Tombe? Well, Tombe has got the right line here, but Wehrlein goes wide. Is there contact between Tombe and Wehrlein? Tombe got superior traction out there, and for now, on this, the last lap, Adrian Tombe has done enough to defend his position against the charges of Pascal Wehrlein. But here comes our race leader, Robert Wickens, through the Cholereses for the last time of asking all the drivers running out onto that concrete paved area now, because the grip level's sufficient for slick tyres. That gamble being taken first of all by Bruno Spengler, and then there was a huge train of cars in to change from wet weather tyres to slick tyres. Robert Wickens heads towards the checkered flag to take the win in Norisring. A supreme drive from the Mercedes driver Robert Wickens. Here comes Jamie Green then, the king of Norisring. Well, P2 surely is enough for him to keep that title. You can see just how much of a margin Robert Wickens had over the rest of the field as Jamie Green then heads towards the checkered flag and takes his best finish of the season. In P3, Matthias Ekstrom, who in the end was some 2 seconds behind Jamie Green. Then it's Edo Mortara who takes P4. So Robert Wickens with a margin of some 23.9 seconds as Adrian Tombe crosses the line now. And it'll be P9 for Tombe. And there's congratulations all round from Mercedes-Benz on the pit perch, first of all, then into the garage as well. And one man that will be very happy is the very head of Mercedes-Benz. Vereena's with him now, Dr. Zetsche.
What a fantastic race. Dr. Zetsche, first of all, the success of Mercedes-Benz continues at the Norisring. What do you say?
Well, of course, that's perfect. When I said I would come to this race, I did not expect to see a win. So, of course, it's even more pleasure to have this perfect ending of this great race. Start with a lot of rain, then later on it was drying out. So it was a real exciting race, and I think they did a great job at our team.
Absolutely, and a total perfect, flawless race of Wickens, but however, very unfortunate with Vittoris, him losing his wheel in P2.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It was a good and solid 1 and 2. We have to check what happened to the car, but I mean, a win is a win. Obviously, it would have been good to finish 1 and 2, but that's how it goes.
So Toto Wolff, and here is the full classification for you, all the way from 1 through to 23, and a win for Robert Wickens. P2 for Jamie Green, and P3 for Matthias Ekström.
Eki, congratulations, a fantastic third place. How does it feel?
No, it was pretty wild in the beginning. Lost a lot of time with all the fights, and then traffic was for sure not the dream when the lap guys didn't let us through. So for sure it was a great to end P3 when you start P12, but we created our luck with the decision of yesterday. So that's not so much to say.
Dr. Markus Soda, then the Bavarian Minister of State, makes the trophy presentation to Robert Wickens. Fine trophy here for the Norisring Speed Weekend as well. And great to see Alex Zanardi here, the double Paralympic gold medal winner, making the P2 presentation to Jamie Green. And a very proud Hans-Jürgen Abt looks on. Mr. Hans-Joachim Stuck, the DMSB president, makes the trophy presentation to Matthias Ekström. So the Robert Wickens car then, as we see a slow-mo replay as he heads towards the checkered flag and is delighted as he jumps out of the car.
Yeah, Robert, you certainly did a flawless race, a fantastic job. You kept your calm, and congratulations.
No, thank you. I mean, it's a full team effort. You know, luckily, yeah, I got away to a good start after the safety car start, and yeah, just put in some nice consistent laps. My team was giving me great information, letting me know how hard I had to drive, and because I knew maybe I had to go a long time on the wet. And yeah, so I was trying to manage my tire the best I could. And luckily, Jamie was pushing me pretty hard, so I was trying to keep the gap to him. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, a flawless effort. I can't thank the team enough. The whole weekend, going into the race, I wasn't expecting to be this competitive, given how our season's been so far. So I'm yeah, just delighted. And to be honest, I'm a bit speechless. So I'm definitely going to celebrate it tonight and focus on Moscow after that.
I bet. Congratulations, really. Thank you so much, Robert. And now let's grab Jamie. Jamie, congratulations. You were at him like a pit bull. I mean, you were fighting so hard, yet P2, not your fifth victory, but second place. You've got to be happy.
Yeah, it was a strange race because I had a small incident with my mate Paul Di Resta before the race even started, which was a big disaster, and I got a penalty for that. But I think I came off quite lightly with that penalty because it wasn't a drive-through. But you know, I kept fighting and I had the pace to catch Robert up. But then when the track started to dry out, I struggled a bit, to be honest. And then with the penalty, obviously I dropped back. But I'm happy with second, considering the action that happened throughout the race.
Well, there was plenty of action, and this was Edo Mortara about to launch an attack on Joey Hand. He dives up the inside here. We see it in slow-mo. Very nearly contact, but I think it was avoided. Edo Mortara must be very happy with the car that the team provided him with.
To be honest with you, since the beginning of the season, they always choose the right strategy. And we were basically the fastest car on track when we were on wets. And we decided to switch to obviously to option tires quite late because we were fastest, and it paid off. I think we managed to gain a little bit on the others, but most importantly, you know, we were very fast today, and that allowed us, you know, to overtake the others. I think this was the key point.
And here is the championship the way it looks now after the race in Norisring, with Marco Wittmann right at the top of the chart on 58 points, then 39 for Edo Mortara, who we've just heard from, and then P3 and P4, Rockenfeller and Ekstrom both on 35 points. Let's hear from the home man now, Marco Wittmann.
We had a strong beginning of the race, gained already a few positions. But then, especially to the end of the wet stint, I would say, we struggle a bit more with our tires to survive compared to the other cars. And I think that's actually the time loss what we had on track. And so after, if we switched to the options, we were pretty good. The pace was good, but we had to come back, had to fight and overtaking some other cars. It was good fun, and actually I think that was the maximum.
Final words from Verena Wright, who's with Norbert Haug.
And now I'm here with Norbert Haug, our DTM expert. Now, Norbert, did we see the return of the Mercedes-Benz star here at the Norisring? I mean, one thing's for sure, Robert Wickens really did show a perfect race.
Well, today was very, very dominating, like quite often in the past, probably even a step more domination than we saw before from Mercedes on this particular racetrack. But this racetrack is so special. I mean, I would not make the conclusion and say it's going to be the same on every racetrack right now. The proof will be the next one, the Moscow Raceway. This is a challenging track, probably a kind of a combination between Hungary and Oschersleben. So a real racetrack. BMW will be strong there, Audi will be strong there, and Mercedes, if they can catch up until then they're in good shape even for the fight in the championship. But I have my doubts that you can achieve so much aerodynamic downforce in that period of time, but let's wait and see.
But no, I've got to ask one question. Christian Vitores, how unfortunate was that, and how can something like that happen?
Well, sometimes, if you're in that situation, you kind of hate racing as much as you like it. I mean, a couple of laps to go, such a nice drive, such a fantastic guy. I mean, another 18 points would have been very, very good for him after, and he would have been in the middle of the championship fight, at least after Norisring. I know that from my career. I mean, sometimes it's really tough. But the good ones, they make it survive, and they go for the next one. And that's the only thing I can advise Christian with. I mean, that's what he has to do, and I'm sure he's strong enough to do so.
I'm sure. Thank you so much, Norbert Haug. And now we're looking forward to the next race in Moscow.